Hello, you're listening to ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined today by the Customs House Manager, Sean.
Whoa, not anymore, I guess. Not as of 20.
You may have,
not as of.
You ran it into the ground.
Yeah, not as of 2017.
And the Shutter's head chef, JJ.
Oh, I'm also out of a job. Wow, he's really just coming for both of us.
Two people out of work.
In today's episode, we start a new spotlight series on Imagineers. Here on ReedyGeeks, we love to celebrate the creative minds behind the magic, which is why we're starting a new reoccurring series, Imagineer Spotlights. Episodes where we shine a light on the brilliant individuals who helped shape Walt Disney World. From concept to execution, these are the folks whose stories often go untold, but whose impact is unforgettable. For our first spotlight, we're featuring Kevin Rafferty, a longtime Imagineer whose fingerprints are all over Disney's most beloved and unexpected attractions. JJ, why don't you walk us through Kevin Rafferty's tenure here?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So often when we think of an Imagineer, we think of an engineer, a tinkerer, someone who builds something physical or knows how to pull off some like crazy visual tricks or understands theater. But Kevin Rafferty is actually a little bit different. Like many of us, Kevin has a long history of loving Disney parks and storytelling from a young age. He fell in love with Disneyland and the Disney company as a child because he grew up around LA and was often at the parks. And as he grew, he developed his interest in art, writing, and film. So he did what any logical person would do with these talents and interests, and that is to go to the seminary and become a priest.
Oh my God, I was not expecting that.
The natural progression.
And not that there's anything wrong with that, but just that came out of left field.
So after a few years in the seminary, he dropped out and decided that he needed to pursue his real dreams and enrolled at Cal State Fullerton to major in film and English so he could become a filmmaker. And to help pay for college, he took a summer job at the place he always loved, Disneyland. Once he got the job, he was granted the prestigious title of DMO. Does anyone know what DMO means? D as in dog, M as in money, O.
DMO.
Director? No.
I'll give you a hint. It's a role at a restaurant.
Oh, like
bartender?
Like not the hostess, but
does the M stand for monsieur?
No, it does not. It's dish machine operator. He was washing dishes.
Wow. Here we are thinking that he had some like prestigious role at the Walt Disney Company, but yeah, no, he was the demo.
So,
he was the demo.
Though. Yeah, exactly. He was a dish machine operator, so he's washing dishes at the Plaza Inn right on Main Street in Disneyland. And even though it wasn't a very glamorous job, he absolutely loved it, and he was fascinated by Disneyland and wanted to learn as much as he could about the place, how it worked, why everybody loved it, why he loved it. And this passion actually has him climbing up the ladder on the culinary side of things, where by the time he finished college, he was a chef at Club 33.
Wow.
Club 33, for people that aren't huge Disney nerds and theme park nerds, is the very prestigious VIP club that exists in Disneyland and now Disney World as well. They've expanded it. So only like, the ultra wealthy, there's like a wait list and it's tens of thousands of dollars just to join it. Very, very expensive, exclusive club.
You want to talk about climbing a ladder? That's quite a ladder.
Yeah.
Well, how did he go from priest to dishwasher to head chef?
If you listen,
no,
to
right
JJ
in 4 years, across the span of 4 years, right?
Wait, what was
While
that,
getting
Sean?
his bachelor's degree.
If you listen, JJ
listen.
explained. He gave his whole line.
How? That's proprietary.
So in 1978, he got his bachelor's degree, and then he took whatever writing job he could at Disney, even taking a pay cut to join WDI. As they're making Epcot, they needed all hands on deck when it comes to writers. So he starts writing for WDI, and he works his way up from writing copy for internal communications to developing some early concepts in Epcot and in Disneyland. And he quickly develops a reputation for his wit, his storytelling instincts, and his collaborative spirit. And, you know, at one point, he thought this was just going to be like a pit stop. He thought he was going to be making films. But it turns out that making attractions is actually a lot like filmmaking. It has things like storyboarding, writing, music composition, art, animation. It was just a different way to use the same tools to tell a story. And his history of going to school for filmmaking actually helps escalate his career trajectory at WDI. You know, it kind of combined his love for the parks with this idea that he has this talent for filmmaking and storytelling. So it's really a cross-section that fits a lot of his skill set. It's his fascination and his passion and all his other things all mixed together.
Yeah, I mean, Imagineers are really just like creating stories in a larger scale, right? Not just for like, you know, in a picture, right? But, you know, for a whole attraction, for a whole land, for a whole park, you know, it's the same concept.
I was gonna say it's
Exactly.
very similar to filmmaking. It's probably the closest thing to it. You're establishing a story, you're establishing a setting, you're establishing characters,
Building a world.
You're building a world around it. Exactly. Yeah. It's
Absolutely. Through the 80s, you know, he's working his way up the ladder, becoming, you know, a show writer, and eventually he's going to work his way up even higher to a position called creative director, which is kind of like a movie director where they kind of guide the whole vision of a project, just like a film director might. You know, maybe they didn't write the movie, they're not going to star in it, but it's their vision. So like that's kind of like the ultimate job for an Imagineer, and eventually he does achieve that, but that doesn't happen until later. So his what most people consider to be his big break is actually helping Jim Henson directly in the Muppet Vision 3D project. He kind of becomes a liaison between the Henson team and the Imagineering team, and he kind of helps when the story is still in concept mode. You know, Henson wrote the script and all that, but he kind of is a good point person and has an ability to understand the tone that the Muppet team wanted to nail and the vision that the Imagineering team was looking for. And he can kind of channel both and really help unite things and make things happen. So the success of Muppet Vision 3D and his collaborative spirit actually makes him really valuable to the company. So he takes a lot of projects, and you'll see there's kind of to me, there's a little bit of a theme to like the projects he ends up, you know, really highlighting that I'm going to highlight. But he does a ton of stuff. So they put him on shows a lot because of his filmmaking background. So he's Tough to Be a Bug, he's on that team. PhilharMagic, he's on that team. And then Carousel of Progress in 1994, he's the one that writes the script for the future scene that we see in this, in the today's version of this show,
with the oven that is programmed to 500
with the
degrees.
Oven that's burning.
Wait, so is that
the oven
was
set
the
to
Carousel
900
of
degrees.
Progress expanded on a new scene added?
No, they replaced the scene.
Okay, gotcha.
They made a new future. And then they also re-implemented the original song from the World's Fair. As a matter of fact, when it moved to Disney World, that's when they implemented the GE song, the Now Is the Time song.
Now is the time.
That's the one.
I was going to ask if Andrew wanted to sing the newer song.
any excuse.
Thank you, Sean, for thinking of me. Yes, I would like to. Now is the time. Now is the best time.
The other one, the better one.
All of the best songs are about General Electric.
Yes.
So,
wow. So I wonder if he. Oh, scratch that. Never mind. I know the answer myself, and I'm wrong. Never mind.
Ooh. So his first. We'll backtrack a little bit. The first attraction he was ever a part of was Muppet Vision 3D.
No, that's his big break.
Okay.
He does concept work, early stuff for for a few of the things in Epcot leading up to that, but his role is much smaller. Muppet Vision, he really kind of breaks through and gets a larger role, which opens up all of this even bigger stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah. So the success at Muppet Vision also allows him to help on some rides too. The first ride he was going to work on and be a bigger part of the team is actually the Roger Rabbit Hollywood ride that never ends up happening.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, darn.
That we really need to do a future episode.
Rides that never were
on Roger Rabbit. Yeah. And eventually he ends up pivoting to the Tower of Terror team, and he really is a key member of that team. They wanted to do, for Tower of Terror, the idea was a haunted hotel at MGM, but they really didn't think that would, work well with the theme of it being MGM Studios and it being a studio park. And they're trying to figure out, well, how does a haunted hotel work? And at one point, the Imagineers were even toying with the idea of it being a parody and that it would be Mel Brooks's Hollywood Hotel.
Oh, no, that would have been terrible.
But it wasn't nailing home the concept of the haunted hotel. Like, it wasn't good enough. So then Rafferty is actually the one that suggested it should be an episode of The Twilight Zone. He helps pitch the lead, him and the lead Imagineer pitched a concept, and that gets greenlit. And I think, knowing his history in filmmaking and stuff, it makes sense that someone who understands, TV and movies can not only he can be a bridge to work with a guy that is a filmmaker like Henson, and also help nail this sort of tone of, well, we want this to feel like an episode of a TV show. So he writes the pre-show script and works on the narration. He's a key component of getting this, of figuring out how do you write in the Rod Serling tone so that this new dialogue, this new story that we're trying to tell really feels like an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Man, how do you do that without AI?
I keep my comments to myself.
So obviously, Tower of Terror, incredible hit. He keeps doing more projects. Test Track 1.0 he's involved on that team.
Wow.
And then they're pitching ideas for the roller coaster at MGM, and he has an idea that it should be, you meet a band in the studio and they take you on a limo to the show, and that's the ride. That's the roller coaster. Everyone loves it. It gets greenlit. This is his first, this is his, it's his concept, and he gets the green light from the powers that be to start doing the rock and roller coaster. And him and the Imagineers, when you think of meeting a bunch of rock stars and joyriding in a limo with the band, when you think of joyriding in a limo with a band to go see their concert, you're probably thinking of the biggest, most iconic rock and rollers. You're thinking Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, right? You're trying to think, oh, we should get someone like that because that's big enough for Disney, right? And the Imagineers absolutely were. But it's 1998, and we are post Disneyland Paris. So Disney corporate is reprioritizing budget as a major concern. So they had to find like rock gods that weren't, on God tier budget wise.
Right.
Yeah. And they may have had them on retainer from Armageddon.
I was just gonna say this was right around. I think Armageddon was 97 or 98 that they had just exploded back out with the lead song from that movie.
Yeah.
So how do you choose the band? Disney is, of course, a mega corporation, and they have their own record label called Hollywood Records. So Rafferty and the rest of the team, they meet with the executives there to help them brainstorm and come up with the appropriate acts that would fit budget-wise and be large enough names to be the stars of an attraction at Walt Disney World. And one executive pitched him, a great idea. They should have the label's next big thing star in the show, a band called Lemonade. You guys ever hear of them?
Nope.
Yep. I'm sure that guy's the CEO now.
The next big thing.
Yeah. As we briefly discussed in one of our quizzes, they did end up pitching this to U2 at first. But Rafferty is from what I've gathered in my research is that Rafferty was convinced that it was Aerosmith, like before they even pitched U2, like that there wasn't like, it wasn't like everyone was like super unified on it being U2 as like, that's the right band. So Aerosmith was their, it was decided to be their second choice. But Rafferty is in the room and pitches Aerosmith and was kind of a driving force for getting him to agree. Again, he's a guy that can deal with stars. He can relate to Henson, and he can seem to also relate to Aerosmith.
You can deal with Jim Henson. You can deal with Steven Tyler.
Right. So Steven Tyler loved the concept, like absolutely, like was just like, I guess flattered that him and his band would be considered to be.
I wonder if when he heard it, he went, "Wait a minute, I love that idea."
So, so he's so into it. Like the energy, his pre-show performance is like, it's real. Like his energy was that high. He's this enthusiastic about the whole process. He goes back into the studio to re-record some audio for it. The countdowns and the love in a roller coaster instead of love in an elevator. Like he goes back into the studio and does all this stuff. He's so excited about the ride. And speaking of, wait a minute, I love that idea. Rafferty wrote the pre-show, so we might owe him a check for every wait a minute, I love that idea that I've dropped on the show. But we should probably cut that part out.
No, it's fair use. It's fair.
Make it definitely a super stretch.
I want to go back. I want to go back.
Wait a minute. I love that idea.
That's great. Yeah, I think that going with Aerosmith or at least a established band is so much better than because you don't know if that band is actually gonna work, and to change a ride, it only happens like once every 10 years. Right. Like if they went with Lemonade and then 2 years in, Lemonade is nothing, then you're stuck with
who else could it have been from
maybe
that time? You would think maybe like Journey.
Yeah, I think you'd have to go with like new, like legacy, like Kiss.
Yeah.
I think
Journey would be a good one. Yeah. Queen.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking Queen, Journey.
Couldn't be Queen. Queen, I'm sure would have been the first choice because Queen is a Hollywood Records band too. But Freddie Mercury, famously dead.
Oh, yes, right.
That's right.
Famously dead by 1998. One, it's not happening.
Wrinkle in the plan.
Small problem. Little detail here. Freddie Mercury very dead.
And they can't do holograms yet. So.
They do not have that technology yet. So after this, he does a lot of DCA stuff. So He helps with he's on the Toy Story Mania team, which is, a bi-coastal project, but it's part of his DCA stuff. Cars Land Radiator Springs, which we'll just gloss over that stuff because we're a Disney World podcast.
So 2.0 DCA though.
It seems like a lot of 2.0 DCA. He gets his biggest break, what I think is his really becomes the defining moment of his career, is that he is hand selected to be the creative director. So he's the number one in charge at Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway.
Really?
And he's back to the park where he got his big break. I mean, all the stories that I've been telling have been at Hollywood Studios. The Muppets and Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, and now he's back. He's back at Hollywood Studios. He's working on, Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway. So this is a huge project.
So just to clarify, all those other ones, when he was working on Rock and Roller Coaster, he was just like one.
He's one of the guys on the team. There's a lot. These are large teams. This is his
project.
This is his where he is the number one guy.
Yeah, the buck stops with him.
Very cool.
Right. He's the one guiding the vision. He's the director. He's not filling these other roles of writing a script for the pre-show or, working on the storyboard and
or
the
washing
concept
dishes.
Of this. He's not washing dishes.
No.
No. This is a incredibly huge and serious undertaking. Rafferty, he loves the parks. He loves the parks. And to be the guy to bring the very first Mickey ride to the parks.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome.
So I have a quote from him here saying, "This wasn't just another ride. This was the ride. The first ever Mickey Mouse attraction. That's like designing the Mona Lisa's theme park debut."
That's crazy that the first ever Mickey Mouse attraction in Walt Disney World opened up 5 or 6 years
in
ago?
2020.
Yeah.
Well, ride. Right.
Right.
You had
shows, Fantasmic and
Mickey Mouse Review, right?
Right.
But an actual ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rafferty really wants to nail it. And, this isn't his idea, much like a movie director. Creative director is the person that guides it. He didn't write the story. He didn't create the idea. He's the guy executing the vision and making it the best thing it could possibly be. And two places where I think you feel this is apparent, once you learn a little bit about him, is some of the challenges they faced when creating the ride. The first is that he really wanted the ride itself to feel like a 2D cartoon, even though we're obviously in a 3-dimensional environment, right? So he challenged the team and they came up with a concept that everyone calls 2.5D. So it's bringing 2D into the third dimension without glasses. And Rafferty was dead set on, I don't want glasses. We're not doing glasses. Mm-hmm. It has to just pull you in. Without that, we need to figure out a way to make it work. And so what is 2.5D? It's the way that they blend the physical sets with projection mapping, animatronics, layers of animation, and then also the lighting tricks. And it creates this illusion of additional movement and depth to what we know as a flat 2D cartoon world. So, walls and props, they're layered with projected moving images and, lets flat surfaces appear to bulge out or, melt. And things can morph without seams. It's very immersive. Like when you're in those rooms at Minnie and Mickey's, you're really sucked in. So, his quote is, "We didn't want guests to think, oh, that's really cool tech. We wanted them to feel like we walked into the Mickey Mouse cartoon world."
Yeah.
And I think that, a ride that can quite literally insert you into the story, right from the pre-show, you guys want to take a ride on my locomotive, like pulls you in. It's kind of a masterclass in Imagineering and in world building and storytelling, and something that seems, he was kind of a perfect fit for this job. And then the next challenge is, something that I think is kind of reminiscent of early Imagineering, and it's creating the theme song. There's a team working on the song, and one night Rafferty's having a little trouble sleeping. It was like, late at night, and he just had an idea, and he recorded a little voice memo with a rough melody and some lyrics, and he sent it to the team that was working on the song. Two important notes is Rafferty's not a musician. He's just a guy with an idea, and that he had other music that has snuck into the parks. He's like a co-writer on some of the Kitchen Cabaret stuff.
Cool.
So, he's kind of been able to sneak some of his writing into songs before. So he has a little bit of experience with writing lyrics, but not necessarily, like, he doesn't consider himself a musician. He just had an idea and just sent it off and wanted to see what the team thought of it. But the lyrics were "Nothing Can Stop Us Now."
Wow. So he literally, that's really what the song is all based on.
That's the song. And so Rafferty is a co-writer on the song for his ride. It's the perfect ride song for the perfect picnic where absolutely nothing could go wrong. And "Nothing Can Stop Us Now" was actually a motto he said continually while describing the tone and the feeling of the ride. Is like, that's the enthusiasm that Mickey is having towards, okay, we're in a tornado, but we're still going to have that perfect picnic.
Mm-hmm.
That enthusiasm. Nothing can stop us now. We got through that, so now nothing can stop us. So this ride, I think it's Kevin Rafferty's opus. It's a masterclass in storytelling, and it's fun and funny. And it's an ode to the company and theme park he's loved since he's a boy. It ties the current Mickey Mouse shorts. It again plays to his ability as a filmmaker. He had to work with the people that make those Mickey Mouse shorts and make sure that it nailed the tone of those shorts, that the humor was right and everything all kind of lined up. So it's kind of a blend of all of his past experience working with Henson on the Muppets to make sure that what the Imagineers wanted fit with what Henson was doing. It fits with how he wrote the Tower of Terror script, pre-show script. And really, it's so funny to say, like, he was the perfect person to bring that ride to life. And it's something that, Disney fans can always point to and say, wow, Kevin Rafferty is pretty cool. Like, he did a really great job. In 2021, he retires after 42 years with the Disney company. He had obviously an immensely impactful and impressive career. He's a guy that created some of my favorite rides, and some of the most re-rideable rides in all of Disney World are, he has his hand in a lot of that.
I wonder if he's Disney legend level. At some point.
Probably not yet, because he's so recently retired.
Right. No, at some point in the future.
I wonder if he's available for the pod.
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's definitely honorary geek level.
He can tell me everything I got wrong on this.
No, that's a cool spotlight. Did you pick him because of how involved he was on so many of your favorite attractions, or did you find that out in your research?
So I knew that he was the guy that wrote the Tower of Terror script before going into this.
Okay. Was that though, pretty much?
I knew that he was involved in a lot of stuff, but yeah, that's kind of it, really. Like, I was like, oh, one of the guys on the Tower of Terror team, that seems like a fun thing to, like, I found the guy that was like, okay, well, who is the guy that figured out how to do the script? Because I think, obviously the company, the people that the engineers that figured out how to make the elevator shaft, the drop part, is also impressive. But it's very technical, and I didn't want to get in over my head with talking about too much of that. Disney is something that's all over his family as well. His wife worked there, drove a tram when he was working as a DMO.
Demo.
That happens a lot.
Their son, Kevin Jr., is also an Imagineer now. Kevin Jr.'s wife works in HR at Disneyland. His sister-in-law was a dancer at the Golden Horseshoe Revue in Disneyland, and then also at the Diamond Horseshoe Revue in Tokyo Disneyland.
Wow, it's a whole family affair.
His brother, a large portion of his family has worked or is maybe even still working. In the case of his son and his daughter-in-law, still working for the Disney company. Kevin Rafferty actually wrote a memoir in 2020. It's called Magic Journey, My Fantastical Walt Disney Imagineering Career. And during the pandemic, our friends at touringplans.com, our good buddy Len, they actually did a touring plan /ride challenge with rides that Kevin Rafferty created. However, because of the way that new rides are coming in and stuff, it's a little dated because some of the attractions are defunct.
Muppets.
Yeah. To my tally, depending on how you count things, I'd say there's 7 attractions at Walt Disney World across 3 parks that currently are Kevin Rafferty attractions, whether that he created something or wrote something for it, or did storyboarding, concept art, that sort of thing. And that is Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Mania, PhilharMagic, Carousel Progress, and Test Track. So this one maybe kind of only half counts because we're on version 3.0. And he was working on one. He might have also did a little bit of 2 because he was still at the company, but he was doing Radiator Springs Racers at the time that 2 was getting completed.
We might have to try the Rafferty challenge.
I mean, right? Like, that sounds like a great day.
Yeah, it does sound like a really good day.
Yeah, I mean, we'll ride Test Track as the bonus. We'll take the extra credit.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit on Kevin Rafferty Sr. and his career as an Imagineer. Took a little bit from the book, but I'm gonna get the audiobook and listen to the whole thing soon. Yeah,
nice,
a lot of fun.
I hope we can
researching him.
I hope we can expect a storied career from Kevin Rafferty Jr. Like, that's kind of cool knowing that he's there, and
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting to think that it could be a legacy of that, where you're just like, oh, there's multiple.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, oh, Kevin Rafferty is the creative director of this thing, and it's Kevin Rafferty Jr.
Right. I wonder how many Imagineers have like their sons or daughters go into Imagineering. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about. And I'm sure that some of them, are involved in entertainment business, but I would imagine it's hard to get the role of Imagineer in
it seems
general,
like a very like, you don't want to say not everyone can do it, but not everyone can do it,
I also think the definition of Imagineer has grown since the early days. Like, not every Imagineer is like working on attractions now. Like, you could be an Imagineer and you're working with hotels to, design things and you know what I mean? Like, there's so many
a much
avenues
broader
now
job description. Depending on what you're getting into, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much, JJ, for bringing this Imagineer to light here. I don't think I've ever heard of him before tonight.
I knew the name. Well, I knew nothing else. So Now I know much more than just the name.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I was able to, do some of this research and bring it to the pod.
Well, what do we think? Do we have time for a game?
I think we may. I don't know.
I think we have time for a game.
Dare we?
What?
Dare we?
Ooh, should we? Okay, guys, this is a brand new game called What Would Walt Think? So, obviously, you see online, oh, Walt would hate this, Walt would hate that, but what would Walt actually hate? And I want to see what my fellow geeks think of this. So, I'm going to read a prompt, and we're going to decide if Walt would love or hate that thing in the prompt.
I like this.
It's pretty simple. So we'll get right into it. I'm going to start with one that I think is kind of a gimme. Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, he'd love it.
Walt would love it.
He'd love it. I see. Okay. He would love the idea of the immersion of the ride. Would Walt love?
He'd love the tricks.
Would Walt love?
He'd love all of it. I think he'd love it.
What? Okay. So would Walt love the IP that the ride is, not being Disney?
Yeah.
When he.
No, but it's the one that they made after he bought it.
Yeah, I wonder how Walt would feel about just buying IP in general.
Like
right?
he would love the idea of the ride because of how immersive and pulling the the tablecloth out from under you, the trickery and everything, and the cool effects. He would love that. But how would Walt feel about the IP Star Wars? And then you can even get into a conversation about Pandora and Tron and all that nonsense.
I think he would be a little disappointed but I think he would love the ride.
Yes, if it's just Rise of the Resistance, love.
Yeah,
I think he would love the Rise of the Resistance stuff. I think he definitely would not like that the Avatar land. He still doesn't even own Avatar. Like I think he'd hate that.
Yeah. You're right.
Rise of Resistance is it's the Star Wars that's post Disney buying it, so it's his stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not his original idea. It's not a Disney original idea, but it's his property and it's his stuff.
That's true.
And to be fair,
I think he'd like it.
Most of what he created wasn't his original ideas. He went out and created movies based off fairy tales and well-known already stories. So I think he would be okay with it. But I think that's a great point about Pandora, that he would hate having to work with James Cameron, right? I think he would hate that James Cameron is going to dictate what his worlds are.
What happens in his park?
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so the next one is the version of Epcot that we got, not his city that he planned, but Epcot.
I think he's rolling in his grave that Epcot didn't turn into hate. Absolutely hate. Yeah.
I think he'd love what it was, but he wouldn't want it to be called Epcot. I think he'd hate that it's named Epcot, but if you called it something else, he would love it.
I don't think he would. Knowing what he wanted Epcot to be, I don't think he would like anything that Epcot is or stands for today.
I don't think he'd like that it's named Epcot, but I think he would love the idea that it's like the World's Fair, the theme park.
Mm-hmm. I think he'd love that. Yeah, like if this theme park was in like Virginia somewhere or something like that, and he would be like, "Wow, that's really cool." I think he would like the actual idea of it. But I also think that if Walt Disney survived 20 years longer, I think he would have came to the same conclusion that the Walt Disney Company came to, is that it's impossible to do what he wanted to do. I don't think he would have been able to do it.
I don't know.
He wouldn't have been able to get companies to agree to send their employees to this place where they can't vote and they can only live there for 6 months. Then they have to uproot their family from their education, the kids from the education, and it's just not. It's not plausible. And really, the idea of Disney World is Epcot. They come up with all new forms of farming, of sanitation, of transportation. They're experimenting with all things that cities end up doing. There's 70,000 people that work in Walt Disney World, right? Like that's the level of a city. I think that I think he would have came to the same conclusion that the rest of the World came to, that it's impossible.
What the Epcot that is today?
Oh, well, I don't think he would have liked the refurb.
I think he would hate Norway.
He would hate Norway. Yes, he would hate Norway. We'll give you that. Definitely. Oh, God, he would hate Norway.
Calm down, Rover. I was only kidding.
Okay, this is, I think, controversial. Alcohol in the parks.
He would hate it in Magic Kingdom.
I don't think so. I think.
But even I
think he'd be. I think he'd be fine with it. I think he'd be fine because it makes money. At the end of the day, it makes money. Everyone who's worried about alcohol in the Magic Kingdom needs to unclutch their pearls. You're a dork. Walt would love alcohol in the parks because it makes money. It makes people stay. It makes money.
But it would have made money back in the 50s. Why didn't he do it in the 50s?
Right, exactly. The selling beers would have put a lot more money in his pocket in the 50s. And instantly.
I think he would be okay with it in Epcot and Hollywood, and especially because it's a world showcase. And I think that, like, you know, being like, this is making me money over here, that's fine. But my Magic Kingdom, my Disneyland, my place where I designed and this is my playground here. No alcohol.
He would not care.
He
would smoke 10 packs of cigarettes a day in the Magic Kingdom. He would not care. He would not.
He would hate the law that says you
can't
smoke.
He would not care. Laws. Oh my gosh!
Alcohol is going to make him money. He would not care.
No, I think he would make. I think he'd have designated drinking areas. I think there'd be like open container laws in Disney World, like where you have to finish your drink in the location that you're at, but alcohol will be allowed in all the parks.
Like in COVID, where you had to stand at a high top in order to drink. And
I could see, honestly, I could see that being how the Magic Kingdom over the next couple years.
That is what Magic Kingdom is doing right now.
Well, no, yes, but there's, like I'm saying, like there's designated drinking areas. Like you have to be in was it Gaston's no, Be Our Guest. You have to be in Be Our Guest getting a meal. You'll have to be in
right
Beacon Barrel.
Jungle.
You'll have to be in there.
Yeah.
Do they serve alcohol
right,
at
exactly.
Canteen?
Yeah.
They do. Okay. You have to be in there. I was saying like places will eventually maybe serve alcohol on the walking paths of the Magic Kingdom, but maybe you can't leave those areas. But I mean,
no, I think it's going to be dedicated spaces, dedicated bars,
inside
dedicated
spaces. I think that's fine.
Yeah,
but would
like the Pirates Lounge.
Would Walt like it? Yes,
he would like it, especially if it was a themed environment and cool. Like he'd love Trader Sam's, a tiki bar.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
He'd love.
I disagree.
He would love it.
I disagree.
He's a man. I think he would like Trader. He's a man who loves a theme and immersiveness. He
loves tiki
and tiki.
Yes. Okay, no. I don't disagree about Trader Sam's. I'm sorry. I think he would like that. I don't think he wants it in the park. I think he wants it at the resorts. Maybe Epcot with World Showcase, I think he'd be okay with that. But in his playground, you know.
Oh, really?
I think you're making a lot of leeway
sense?
there. No, not sense at all. You're saying yes to things that already exist. Oh, he would be fine with it in the World Showcase. He'd be fine with the World Showcase. I think Walt would be fine.
Drinking exists in Magic Kingdom. You have to be at a sit-down restaurant, and in Disneyland, you cannot drink at a sit-down restaurant, or you couldn't. Not with him. You can now, but not with him.
You can now. But I would say it's the same thing. I think what is happening in Disneyland and Magic Kingdom is how all of the parks would be. You have to be like in a designated space where it's allowed. You have to have a meal with it. You have to whatever. Like,
but why wouldn't he have done it? Why wouldn't he have done it in the 50s?
Times were a little
different
back then. There weren't as many alcoholic beverage offerings as there are now. It was either beers or old fashions, you know. Like it wasn't today. It wasn't like it is today. I don't think the reason he didn't do it back then was because he didn't want it. It might not have, like, it being in one theme park that he wanted to call for families just may not have necessarily called for it. But as parks and times evolve, so does the need for adult entertainment.
he also wasn't anti-alcohol.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting thing because he ended most days with a Scotch mist prepared by his was it his assistant or his nurse?
His nurse.
You don't know about this?
No, I don't know about this.
Walt had a really bad polo injury.
Yeah.
And
I said I've got him into the Epcot business, right? Like he needed to fill some time, and
he had a staff nurse that would massage his back like multiple times a week.
Are we sure that's
and
all
I think
she was doing?
was also the person that made his Scotch mist. I think. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, ReedyGeeks@gmail.com.
Correct JJ, please.
Please correct me.
If you are that nurse,
if you're that nurse,
please come be on the
please
pod.
come on the pod.
All right, what's the
we'll
last
come
one?
to you. We won't even send you a link to join a chat.
We'll bring all the equipment.
We'll fly to you. We'll
all right,
ask
JJ,
you
what's
all
our
the
last
most softball questions. All right. The very last question that we'll do for this is, I think, topical with the recent closure of the rivers of America. How would he feel about Piston Peak / Cars Land coming into Frontierland?
Okay, so I think he would agree with JJ. What JJ said earlier today, I think it was in a different episode, that Disney World needs to have its own theme. I think he would have hated that he's recreating Disneyland just on the East Coast, and he would want Disney World, Magic Kingdom, to be its own park.
I mean, that was why he didn't port over the Pirates ride from the beginning.
Right. And I mean, he was doing Magic Kingdom just to get investors because his ultimate goal was Epcot, right? Like, and they said, well,
right,
you have to have a park, otherwise, what are we doing here?
Yeah, there's nothing not to like about the idea of Piston Peak. He would love the expansion, and Walt was a man that loved America. He would love that it's a national park theme. He would love that it's not just a fake, Radiator Springs. It's trying to emulate being like a U.S. national park. It's got that theme, the outdoors and the wilderness. He would love that. I think he would absolutely be on board with Piston Peak for sure.
Yeah, I also think he loves that little boys love Lightning McQueen. Like he'd love all of that. There's nothing that he wouldn't love about it. He goes, you know what? He'd probably be the first one to admit it. You know what? Kids don't like Tom Sawyer anymore. They like cars. Lightning McQueen.
Cars that go fast. Yeah.
Everyone always says that quote about Disneyland is not a museum, and that's what he said. Things are going to change. Get over it. That's what friends of the podcast, the Florida Project, they say that a lot, like as a quote, quote unquote from Disney.
People love to try and justify keeping Disney World and Disneyland and all things Disney as a shrine to Walt, and they love to use fake quotes, but it's no, Walt would. Things change. Roll with the times. Get over it.
A person so obsessed with the idea of progress that he was going to create some insane city.
Right. Right. Exactly. The man who created Carousel of Progress and wanted to create what his vision
of utopia
Epcot was.
City, a weird utopia city that he was the emperor of.
The same from 1971 to 2025. I'm begging you to unclutch your pearls. Everything's fine.
Unclutch your pearls.
Things change.
That should go on a shirt that
things change.
Unclutch a Disney shirt.
Tom Sawyer Island, gone.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Sure.
It
was nice to look at. It was nice to look at, but there is nothing there.
Oh,
I'm super happy that they're bringing more water features. It looks like in that new art.
Mm-hmm.
They probably heard the complaints and everything from the first art that they put out there, but it looks like it's going to be great. Yeah, for Piston
It's
Peak.
going to be,
It looks like
it's going to be amazing. I look forward to enjoying Piston Peak. Like I said in a previous episode, enjoying Piston Peak more than I enjoy Villains Land or whatever that ends up being. I think it's going to be, so much better. I really do.
It's not impossible to think about that.
There's more at stake for Villains Land. There's more.
It has a higher bar.
It has a higher bar, and I think there's more of a chance of a letdown. I think that right now it's already gravy with Piston Peak. I don't think you possibly could let, when you show the things they're doing to make the ride, they're doing the off-roading and all the stuff. Like, I don't think you can possibly let people down. And listen, knock on wood, whatever's near you.
They had to do that.
But I think that Piston Peak is already playing with house money. It's going to be the best thing to happen to the Magic Kingdom, maybe since it's opened.
But it's only playing with house money because they made good decisions and so far, right, that we can see. But if they were literally just gonna pave over paradise with a parking lot, people would have a reason to complain.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're making the right decisions, which is good.
Yes.
I also like that it would have been really easy for them to just put Radiator Springs there.
And they're not doing that.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing. It's a whole new thing. And Villains Land will also be a whole new thing. But like I said, there's more at stake. Villains Land has to be, and this is a whole other thing, but Villains Land has to be the one thing Disney parks, if they're ever going to get anything right, it has to be Villains Land.
It has the weight of it has to be a crown jewel. It has to be.
It has more weight, I think, than Galaxy's Edge had on it. It has more weight than any of the other Fantasyland. This has to be the best thing because fans. This is a fan sourced idea. This is maybe it's not a fan sourced idea, but this has been something people have been wanting for a decade at least. This is something.
And I think it. Yeah.
They have to get right.
It needs two e-tickets too. It needs a Rise of the Resistance level dark ride and a Guardians level roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, it needs both things.
So it
needs to not just be Descendants.
It also needs to not be the Villains show. We can cut this or we can leave it in. But I don't know if this is because D23 is coming up. But in the last couple of days I've seen a lot of. I don't know if there's been a set or a confirmed area that Villains Land is going to be like we know it's going to be beyond Big Thunder. We know that. But like people have been projecting that it's going to be very, very large. I think it is going to be large. It's got to be, but how large it is going to depend on where you put show buildings and stuff, because it might not feel as large if all the show buildings, if there are these giant show buildings kind of framing it within the park.
Yep.
I
think also people don't really know how big Piston Peak is going to be, and I think that would also determine how big.
I think Piston Peak is sort of has a finite.
If it's true to the artwork, it's basically
it has to fit within a confined space.
Why?
The main reason why people feel like the space is defined for Piston Peak is the angle of the concept art where you can see Big Thunder.
It's going to work so well for it.
So you can see, because you can see that, you can see, so we're looking at this like that. You can kind of tell like, we're looking at this like perched above like Columbia Harbor House-ish area.
Yeah.
Like they're using the concept art as gospel, which may not be true. But I mean, they did purposely place. You can see Country Bears, you can see Tiana, you can see Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So
they're planning to use that landscape as part of it. Yeah.
It's mostly where the river is, and mostly the river on the front part of Tom Sawyer Island, and maybe a little bit of that maybe it'll eat a little bit of that pathway in Frontierland that already exists around, the one that goes around the river.
Yeah.
I
was actually thinking that it would take up all of Rivers of America. So like whatever Rivers of America is,
the river itself,
like if you were to fill in that river Well, the whole thing. If you were to fill in the whole
No, I think the back part is going to be part of
villains.
It is, yeah.
because of the
I think so,
angle
yeah.
again. Because of the angle of that picture,
Yeah.
part of that when you're looking at the rivers of America when you're online for the Haunted Mansion, like if that is north, if above the Haunted Mansion is north, everything south of the Haunted Mansion is going to be Frontierland. Everything north of the Haunted Mansion, people are speculating that will be Villains Land.
So it's not even all of Tom Sawyer Island. This is not all of Tom Sawyer Island.
No, it's just the front part.
Wow. I don't necessarily like nor agree that they are stopping Villains Land at the railroad.
Well,
I mean, it could go beyond the railroad.
This is also
It could go beyond the railroad, and you know what else it could do? It could actually connect back to Fantasyland.
This is all
It could
purely
keep going.
fan made. This is nothing.
Right.
You could get rid of the tangled bathrooms and have Villains Land feed directly into
the bathrooms.
directly into Fantasyland.
He's
through
blaspheming. On this podcast.
Blaspheming.
Getting rid of
I love
the
it.
tangled bath.
Well, no, they're going to announce the fifth gate that'll have Rapunzel getting her own whole land, and then they'll
But
demolish the
I don't
bathroom.
necessarily think that we don't necessarily. I don't think that the railroad necessarily has to be the barrier.
Right.
think-
No, I don't think so either. I don't think it should. I don't think they should limit themselves with a railroad. It's not important enough.
We're already getting rid of the railroad.
We already got rid of it
Plus,
last week.
the railroad can be rerouted. Yeah, we got rid of the railroad last
We
week.
have to line these up.
Or 2 weeks ago. Who knows?
Who knows?
Welcome aboard, folks.
This was good. All right, Sean.
I think this game's got legs.
This game does have legs.
Yeah.
I think we could just do even Steakhouse 71. Would he hate it? I mean, you know what I mean?
Walt would love a steak.
Well, he would, but would he want it themed after him? You know what I mean?
With pictures of him everywhere.
Yeah, actually, probably would love that.
Walt felt.
wouldn't?
I feel like Walt's what's that when you like when you love yourself?
Egomaniac?
No, a narcissist. Yeah, Walt
Narcissistic.
Disney was a narcissist for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. In order to be that successful, you need to be.
Yeah.
And think that you can do no wrong. So you take these huge risks and
One day, men in their mid to late 30s will make podcasts about the things you've done and the legacy you've left on the world.
About all the great decisions you've made.
I thought you were saying this is our huge risk.
Do you think Walt would
Not
hate
yet.
ReedyGeeks?
He would hate that he's not making money off of it.
Yes, that's true.
Neither are we, Walt.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, Walt, I hate that too. I hate it too.
Well, maybe you can help
Spent
fix
the last
that.
4 hours of my night doing this, and I haven't seen a dime.
He would like that. I mean, he was notoriously against unions and like
Hard-working
wage
American
practice and
labor.
stuff. All right. Wow. So much of that we could cut. So much of it we could keep.
So much
in.
we keep.
I kind of liked all of it. Yeah.
We'll leave it up to JJ to decide.
So, Sean, want to take us out?
Thanks for listening to another episode of the ReedyGeeks podcast. Like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Any questions, comments, concerns, future topics, and nicknames, email us at reedygeeks@gmail.com and check us out on all our socials at ReedyGeeks. We'll see you next time.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity. Farewell.
This week's Honest Send-Off is courtesy of Buzz from Andy's Room. If you have an honest send-off that you want played at the end of one of our episodes, please submit an audio clip to us via our email address, reedygeeks@gmail.com. ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast, is hosted and executive produced by Andrew Shopey, Sean Murphy, and JJ Hefner. Music and audio engineering by JJ Hefner.
Bon voyage.